Where's Sam?
He'll be here. Lieutenant, call your witness.
Defense calls Colonel Nathan Jessep.
Colonel, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this general court-martial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Will you state your name, rank, and current billet for the record, please? Air. Colonel Nathan R. Jessep, Commanding Officer, Marine Ground Forces, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Thank you, sir. Would you have a seat, please?
Colonel, when you first learned of Santiago's letter to the NIS, you had a meeting with your 2 senior officers.
Yes.
Is that right? The executive officer, Lieutenant Jonathan Kendrick, and Company Commander Matthew Markinson.
Yes.
And that the present Captain Markinson is dead. Is that right?
Objection. I'd like to know just what the defense counsel is implying.
I'm implying simply that at present Captain Markinson is no longer alive.
Sure, Colonel Jessep doesn't need to appear in this courtroom to confirm that information.
I just wasn't aware, if the witness was aware, that 2 days ago Captain Markinson had taken his own life with a .45 caliber pistol.
The witness is aware, the court is aware, and now the jury is aware. We thank you for bringing this to our attention. Move on, Lieutenant.
Colonel, at the time of this meeting, you gave Lieutenant Kendrick an order. Is that right?
I told Kendrick to tell his men that Santiago wasn't to be touched.
And you gave an order to Captain Markinson as well.
I ordered Markinson to have Santiago transferred off the base immediately.
Why?
I felt that his life might be in danger once word of the letter got out.
Grave danger.
Is there any other kind?
We have the record of the transfer order you co-signed with Markinson, ordering Santiago be lifted on a flight to Guantanamo at 6 a.m. the next morning. Was that the first flight off the base?
The 6 a.m. flight was the first flight off the base.
Colonel, you flew up to Washington early this morning. Is that right?
Yes.
I notice you're wearing your Class A appearance and dress uniform for court today.
As are you, Lieutenant.
Did you wear that uniform on the plane?
Please, the court, is this dialogue relevant to anything in particular?
The defense didn't have the opportunity to depose this witness, Your Honor. I'd ask the court for a little latitude.
A very little latitude.
Colonel?
I wore fatigues on the plane.
And you brought your dress uniform with you?
Yes.
A toothbrush, a shaving kit, change of underwear.
Your Honor?
Is the Colonel's underwear a matter of national security?
Gentlemen, you better get somewhere fast with this, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir. Colonel?
I brought a change of clothes and some personal items.
Thank you. After Dawson and Downey's arrest on the night of the 6th, Private Santiago's barracks was sealed off and its contents inventoried. 4 pairs of camouflage pants, 6 camouflage shirts, 2 pairs of boots, 1 pair of brown shoes, 1 pair of tennis shoes, 8 khaki
Please,
shirts,
Court,
2
is
belts,
there a question
1
anywhere in our future?
sweater.
Lieutenant Kaffee, I have to...
I'm wondering why Santiago wasn't packed. Tell you what, we'll get to that in a minute. Here is a record of every phone call made from your base over the past 24 hours. Upon being subpoenaed to Washington, you made 3 calls. I highlighted those phone calls in yellow. Do you recognize those numbers?
I called Colonel Fitzwigs in Quantico. Virginia. I wanted to let him know I'd be in town. The second call was to set up a meeting with Congressman Ramon of the House Armed Services Committee. And the third call was to my sister Elizabeth.
Why did you make that call, sir?
I thought she might like to have dinner tonight. Judge, I'm going to put a stop to this now.
Your Honor, here are the phone records from Gitmo, and here are 14 letters Santiago wrote in 9 months, requesting, in fact, begging to be transferred. Upon hearing the news that he was finally getting his transfer order, Santiago was so excited. But do you know how many people he called? 0. Nobody. Not one phone call to his parents saying he was coming home. Not one phone call to a friend asking to pick him up at the airport. He was in his bed at midnight, and yet, according to you, he was supposed to be on a plane in 6 hours. And yet, everything he owned was hanging neatly in his closet or folded neatly in his footlocker. You were leaving for 1 day. You packed 1 bag and made 3 calls. Santiago was leaving for the rest of his life. And he hadn't called a soul. And he hadn't packed a thing. And you explained that. The fact is, there was no transfer order. Santiago wasn't going anywhere. Isn't that right, Colonel?
Intention this morning is to smear a high-ranking Marine officer in the desperate hope that a mere appearance of impropriety will win him points with the jury. It's my recommendation that Sir Lieutenant Kaffee receive an official reprimand from the bench and that the witness be excused with the court's deepest apologies. Overruled. Your Honor, the objections noted.
Colonel? Is this funny? Sir?
No, it's not. It's tragic.
Do you have an answer?
Absolutely. My answer is I don't have the first damn clue. Maybe he was an early morning riser, and maybe he likes to pack in the NQ. And maybe he didn't have any friends. I'm an educated man, but I'm afraid I can't speak intelligently about the travel habits of William Santiago. What I do know is that he was set to leave the base at 0600. Now, are these really the questions I was called here to answer? Phone calls and foot lockers? Please tell me you've got something more, Lieutenant. Please tell me there's an ace up your sleeve.
These 2 Marines are on trial for their lives. Please tell me their lawyer hasn't pinned their hopes to a phone bill. Do you have any other questions for me, Counselor? Lieutenant Kaffee. Lieutenant, do you have anything further for this witness? Thanks, Danny. I love Washington.
Excuse me. I didn't dismiss you.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not through with my examination. Sit down.
Colonel.
What's that?
I'd appreciate it if he addressed me as Colonel or Sir. I believe I've earned it. The defense counsel will address the witness as Colonel or Sir. I don't know what the hell kind of an outfit you're running here. And the witness will address the court as Judge or Your Honor. I'm quite certain I've earned it. Take your seat, Colonel. What would you like to discuss now? My favorite color?
Colonel, the 6 a.m. flight was the first flight off the base. There wasn't a flight that left 7 hours earlier that landed at Adam Andrews Air Force Base at 2 a.m.
Lieutenant, I think we've covered this, haven't we?
Your Honor, here are the tower logs from Guantanamo Bay and Adam Andrews Air Force Base. The Guantanamo logs list no flight that left at 11 p.m. and the Andrews logs list no flight that landed at 2 a.m. I'd like you to admit those as defense exhibits A and B.
I don't understand. You're admitting evidence of a flight that never existed?
We believe it did, sir. The defense will be calling Airman Cecil O'Malley and Airman Anthony Perez. They were both working the ground crew at Andrews at 2 a.m. on the 7th.
Your Honor, these men weren't on the list. Rebuttal witnesses, for honor, called specifically to refute testimony under a direct examination. I'll allow the witnesses. This is ridiculous.
Colonel, a moment ago.
Check the tower logs, for Christ's sake.
We'll get to the airmen in a minute, sir. Colonel, a moment ago you said that you ordered Kendrick
That's right.
to order his men not to touch Santiago. And Kendrick was clear on what you asked. Any chance Kendrick ignored the order?
Ignored the order?
Any chance he just forgot about it?
No.
Any chance he left your office and said to himself, the old man's wrong?
No.
And when Kendrick spoke to the platoon and ordered them not to touch Santiago, any chance they ignored him?
Have you ever spent time in an infantry unit, son?
No, sir.
Ever served in a forward area?
No, sir.
Ever put your life in another man's hands, ask him to put his life in yours?
No, sir.
We follow orders, son. We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal. Colonel, I have just one more question before we call Airman O'Malley and Airman Perez. If you gave the order that Santiago wasn't to be touched, and your orders are always followed, then why would he be in any danger? Why would it be necessary to have him transferred off the base?
Private Santiago was a substandard Marine. He was being transferred off base because...
That's not what you said. You said he was being transferred because he was in grave danger.
Yes, that's correct. But...
You said he was in danger. I said grave danger. You said.
Yes, I recall what...
I can have the court reporter read back your...
I know what I said. I don't need it read back to me like I'm a damn...
Then why the two orders, Colonel? Colonel. Why did you?
Sometimes men just take matters into their own hands.
No, sir. You made it clear just moments ago that your men never take matters into their own hands. Your men follow orders, or people die. So Santiago shouldn't have been in any danger at all. Isn't that right, Colonel?
You little bastard. Your Honor, I have to ask for a recess to...
I'd like an answer to the question. Judge.
The court will wait for an answer.
If Kendrick gave the order not to touch Santiago, then why did he have to be transferred? Colonel? Kendrick ordered the code red to me. Because that's what you told Kendrick to do!
Object, counsel.
And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose!
Your Honor, that'll be all, counsel.
You had Margerson sign a phony transfer order.
Judge?
You doctored the logbooks!
Damn it, Kaffee!
I'll ask for a fourth time. You ordered...
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to them.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has walls, and these walls have to be guarded by men with guns. And who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago and you curse the Marines. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. That Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, although while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
You ordered the code red.
I did the job you sent me to do.
Did you order the code red?
You're goddamn right I did!
Please, the court, I suggest the jury be dismissed so that we can move to an immediate Article 39 session.
Lieutenant
The
Ross.
witness has rights. Jack.
The Sergeant at Arms will take the jury to an ante-room where you'll wait until further instruction.